if I could go back in time, you know, in one of these like 18 Again movies or something, I wouldn't even change successes or failures. I would just change how much I enjoyed them or not. Morning Maggie was a pilot I did for CBS. I met who was to become my best friend, Matthew Perry, on that job. And then this was my first pilot. It never saw the light of day, that pilot. I remember all the older actors, who was everybody except for Matthew Perry, they were very casual about it and sort of laissez-faire. And I'm like, God, aren't they excited? They're going to be on television. I was naive enough to think that if you did a pilot, that meant you're going to be a TV star by next Tuesday. And I'm still waiting to become a TV star.
Oh, that's nice. Hey, it's getting cloudy. Oh, boy.
I had done another pilot where I did the voice of an animated dog called Hollywood Dog for Fox. That never saw the light of day, but they sort of knew me from that. They had me audition for the voice of Mo the bartender. Very casually, I just went in and read some lines. They went, yeah, sounds good. And Matt Groening and Sam Simon had me just follow them on the lot and record that day. I'm like, record now? They're like, yeah. Each week I'd come back, and then eventually in season 2 they made me a regular. I didn't even know what the show was, let alone it would become The Simpsons.
Moe's Rat-Free Tavern? Hey, Marge. Yeah, Homer's here. Oh, you want Homer? I'm sorry, I thought you meant Himmler.
Probably nearest to my heart is Mo the bartender, because it's probably the most popular character I do, and he's from New York, he's from Queens, and I used to bartend, and he's been the most fleshed out, I think. I really like doing Professor Frink, because he's an impression of Jerry Lewis, who I grew up when I was a kid. It made me laugh so much. And
when I start talking this way, I find it difficult to stop. It's sort of like having a peanut. You can't just have one. You must continue. Livick.
The burglar trips the alarm, the house raises from its foundations, and runs down the street around the corner to safety.
Like, when I was 7, that made me laugh. It still makes me laugh.
Today's particle accelerators are nowhere near powerful enough to simulate these conditions.
Okay, all right. I have a question then.
Yeah.
Were you planning on kissing me ever?
There are certain scripts that come along that you know this is going to be a great show. I auditioned to play Joey, and they said no, and I went back. I was like, you got to see me again. I'd never done that before or since, and they kindly saw me again and then just as quickly threw me out. And then they had me in the first season. I ended up playing that character, Phoebe's boyfriend, David. I would come back almost every year. It was fun to sort of watch them all turn into the Beatles, basically. And I burned with jealousy and told them so. I was like, I'm really happy for you guys. Also, I hope you all die.
Now, what do you want to do that for, Professor? Charlie, you're doing the right thing. Really.
You know, back then, there was a real delineation between TV actor and movie actor. It usually didn't cross over. And I remember nudging my agents, like, I can do movies. I feel like I can. Get me movie auditions. And I think they kind of threw me a bone and got me this quiz show audition. And I remember finally going in and reading for Robert Redford, who was the director of it. I had decided on that audition to sort of go in character, sort of stay in character. I was kind of a guy who's from New York, who's a little bit rough around the edges.
You're too nice.
No, I'm not.
If it were up to me, I would have sent him to the skating rink the fast way.
I did that, and what the casting director ended up telling me was that she had left the camera running as she was just chatting with me. And she said, you know, your audition was okay. It was actually just bantering back and forth with me that Bob responded to. He thought you kind of were the role. And that's why he hired you. And so it really actually paid off in that moment.
See, the problem, Professor, is the old college try ain't gonna do it. And you've seen Stemple. The guy is unbeatable.
When I think of asses, woman's ass, something comes out of me.
I had just done Quiz Show. People were taking a bit of notice of me. Michael Mann had me in. I auditioned, got that role. And on my 30th birthday, I shot 24 hours straight. I shot all night on Heat, and then I went right to the Birdcage set. And that night, we shot that scene where he goes to me, "'Cause she got a great ass!" That crazy scene where he yells "great ass" into my face. Michael Mann shoots like 1 million takes. Everybody gets really tired and cross-eyed. I think Pacino got bored. So he went, "Great ass!" I think out of frustration, which scared the hell out of me. And if you look at that movie again, you'll see I just go, Jesus, like that when he yells that. Not acting at all, he just actually terrified me.
Call me. Move.
Perfect.
Oi. These their shoes.
Yeah, so Mike Nichols, director of Birdcage, had seen me in Quiz Show, wanted me to give me a small role in Birdcage, said pick any small role. I ended up doing a table reading of the script, and one of the characters I did was Agador Spartacus, who was Nathan's dresser, who talked this way, kind of a delightful Guatemalan drag queen. It was only a one-scene part at the time, and Mike said, so which role do you want? I said, I want to do that one. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah, that's the one that's funny.
Good evening. I am Spartacus.
Anastasia, sir, just wishing I could do the job for you, sir.
That was an imitation of a cousin of mine who kind of talked like this. This was the voice of the bat, which was a little higher. My cousin actually talked more like this, a little deeper. They thought I was crazy, by the way, when I did that voice. I really liked that voice and was doing it. And they were like looking at me like I was completely insane. They were like, okay, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. I thought it'd be a funny voice. They're like, yeah, I don't know. And then it ended up growing on them.
I'd give her a ha, then a hi-ya, and then a woo-ah, and I'd kick her, sir.
Dressing choice is Roncho light, and I'd appreciate it if you'd hold the back a bit. However, seeing as it's your first night and all, I suppose I'll forgive you if you forget. Who's next?
Mystery Men. Here's what's interesting to me from a business perspective. So I had done these movies and sort of hit a certain amount of heat, right? I was about in my early 30s. I got some momentum. And what will happen is when if you're fortunate enough to have that happen to you as a young actor, is you'll get to star in some movies, 1 or 2 or 3. And Mystery Men was one of them. I did Mystery Men, I did Mystery Alaska, and I did Godzilla. All those movies tanked. None of them did well at the box office. And thus, I lost my privilege of starring in movies after that. Oh, but Mystery Men, that is probably the best of those 3. Over time, what it really is remembered from it is clips from the movie are in that Smash Mouth song, which seems to be what stands the test of time out of that movie. America's Sweetheart, 2001. I remember on that movie, Joe Roth directed it, who owned the studio, was the head of the studio. As a result, there was a lot of money and time on that project. It would be like 5 o'clock. We would have started at like 10 that morning. It'd be 5 o'clock, and we'd go, okay, that's it, we're done for the day. I'm like, we're done? We haven't put in a 12-hour day. And it was like, oh, you know, his daughter's got a soccer game, so we're just gonna knock it off early. I'm like, awesome. It's wonderful to have the boss, be your director. It was fun. Like there was like a party every week, like a sort of rap party every week, and we shot in Vegas. That's what I always imagined movie making would be like, but it like never is. But that movie it was like glamorous.
It's actually a sign of intelligence. But I don't want anything from him. Well, he can't escape biology, buddy. He's our father.
Although I executive produced it, that was brought to me, a guy named Bob Lowry. Bob and I, as brilliant as he was, we did not see eye to eye creatively. We differed a lot on how certain things should be, and so between the difficulty of that subject matter, meaning it was very emotional and dark, and how much Bob and I didn't agree creatively, it was hard.
Oh, that's impossible. Look for yourself.
See no transformation? Your potion has no power.
I played Gargamel in the first 2 Smurfs movies, who's the villain, the evil villain Gargamel.
I am the great and powerful Gargamel. Lunatic. Could a lunatic do this?
There's an element of my mother in there. My mother's not as deep and gravelly, but she often has this expression on her face. She's more like this. What are you doing? What's happening here?
That's a lot of how I remember my mother. And Gargamel runs around chasing little things around, very displeased with them. So I connected to that.
A sad for you in 30 years.
Here's how it's gonna work. You don't open your mouth about Sully. You weren't on the docks that night. And you didn't kill him. Frank did.
Ray Donovan, I played a pretty twisted FBI agent who has gone wrong. With Ray Donovan, I really enjoyed working on that, not just because I won an Emmy, although actually just because I won an Emmy, let's just be honest. To play a character more as myself, I felt like I had sort of matured into being able to do that with more comfort, because I was the kind of guy who, besides being very uptight, I didn't feel like I was doing anything unless I put a voice on.
Yeah, wait outside.
Delivers a slider into the dirt, count evens 1-1. I miss having the best seat in the house and making every single moment come alive.
I hooked up with Joel Church Cooper, who's this awesome writer. We did a short at Funny or Die. That got popular. Then Joel and I started working together on the character. He's a billion times better writer than I am. I love that, though, because it's A, the only thing I've ever developed for myself that was any good. B, it's sort of a combination, it feels like, of my vocal career. Brockmire is sort of the culmination for me of a lot of lessons, like trust a writer. Like I would have trusted the Huff writer much, much more if I could go back and do that over again. Enjoy your work. If you are, you give the movie or show a better chance of being better if you're not so fraught. If I could go back in time, I wouldn't even change successes or failures. I would just change my attitude towards them and how much I enjoyed them or not. And that's its own reward, and that's all you can really control.